to talk about uh, when you when you're in training for a competition and you're in a cycle, in a training cycle. So when you're in a training cycle, for anybody that competes, generally a peaking cycle, you're peaking up to the heavy weights. One thing that you have to understand is that as you progress in a cycle, right, a couple of things need to happen. And sometimes we are responsible for those couple of things that need to happen in the training. As we approach the heavy weights and as we approach the progression, which usually tends to be an increment in weights, a reduction in reps, couple of things need to happen. First of all, physically, you don't have many reps to do. You have few reps. So what needs to happen is maximum potential in a short period of time, right? So instead of doing 8 reps or 10 reps, you're doing 3 reps to 2 reps, like this, right? 1 rep. But the problem is in that 2 reps and 3 reps, you don't have a minute to do them. You have a few seconds to do them. So in those few seconds, you need to maximize your physical potential, which requires a good physical preparation, right? Secondly, you need also in a short period of time, you need to get your psychological preparation in the right place, which involves your mental preparation and emotional preparation before a lift. Some people need to be super aggressive. Some people need to be very calm. It depends on what your mood is and what gets you going. So 2 things. Physically, you need to be prepared to perform maximum intensity in a short period of time. Psychologically, you need to be prepared to do maximum intensity with psychic energy in a short period of time. You see? It's not this much intensity when this much is required. You see? So how do we do this? We need to motivate ourselves internally. You motivate yourself in your heart, you motivate yourself in your mind, right? This is something which is almost a ritual, like a routine. So you motivate yourself outside of the day that you're going to train. So if you're training on a Wednesday, and this is maybe Monday or before that, Sunday, Saturday, you start preparing yourself in your mind and in your heart about that Wednesday training, that I'm going to make this lift. How am I going to make this lift? First of all, you've trained so much to be able to get to the place that you are, right? So now there's no point in failing here. So you need to prepare yourself to say, look, I've done all this training. I'm going to make this lift. It's only 5 or 10 pounds more. I need to make a double, right? But the problem is that it's much harder. With heavy weights, high intensity, and you're at 98%, a small mistake means could be the difference between making it nicely and failing miserably. You see? So if you know that you need to get this, you need to prepare yourself in a period of steps. So you start preparing mentally, emotionally before. You see? Then by the time you get to the lift, again a little bit of mental stimulation, emotional stimulation is necessary. While you're warming up, while you're stretching, you need to come in and you need to understand how to build the motivation, like steps, all the way up to a peak, to the point where you reach a crescendo or an apex, a high point, top of the pyramid, right? So when you get to the weights, you're now stimulated to where you need to be to believe that you're going to make this lift internally. If you start thinking you're going to fail or thinking that, oh, this is a game, your mind is in 10 different places, you're thinking about this and that, the problem is you have scattered energy just like you have scattered thoughts. So you need to bring all your thoughts and submit them to one thought. And that thought is, I'm going to make the weight. If you play around with that, you'll get away with it with the light weights. That makes you exactly that, a lightweight lifter. You want to lift the heavy weights, and especially if you're training competitively, you need to get yourself in the right place. You need to be prepared. I don't care. Once you decide to lift the weight, there's no excuse. If you don't want to lift the weight, don't lift the weight. Then you have no excuse, right? And that's fine. Train for another day. But if you start doing the wrong things before a lift, then guess what's going to happen? Chances are you're not going to make the lift. So physical preparation means You warm up very well, you practice your technique, you slow down the lift so that you can feel it, you stretch what needs to be stretched, you tighten what needs to be tightened, and then you start progressing up. Let's say you want to lift 400 pounds. So now you start with 135, 185, 225, start with a higher volume of reps, and then start reducing the reps. Then sometimes you need feeler reps to feel. So you get scared mentally, and the weight you're lifting is 400 pounds. So you start getting scared, so you feel, okay, I need to hit something close to 400 to feel how it feels. That's fine. That's for psychological preparation for the lift, right? Sometimes you're very confident psychologically, you want to save your physical energy. You don't go all the way to 385 to feel it so that you lift 400. You go to 365, you go to 350, and you say, I'm ready. It depends on where you're at, but you want to build the physical, build the psychological, build the emotional, build the spiritual. All those things, they add up to making the lift. The higher the intensity, the more the preparation. You're not going to go in there and then just go in there and lift weights. It doesn't happen like that. You need to start peaking mentally, psychologically, emotionally, in your heart and in your mind, as well as physically. Practicing your technique all the time. And for me, I'm a bit crazy with it. Many times I'll be going somewhere, everything becomes a deadlift, everything becomes a squat. I'm moving something, I start thinking about emotion. Oh, how is this going to help the deadlift? My lats, okay, my lats. I feel it, you see? But that's me. I'm not saying everybody needs to do that. But that helps me to motivate me for the lifts. So I just wanted to tell you guys, when you're training and you're in a training cycle and the intensity starts increasing, you're not going to make the heavy weights if you go in there and you're scattered all over the place. That happens from time to time. Life happens. That's understandable, right? But in terms of making the lift, you won't make the lift most likely. So then you need external motivation. You need to be around teammates or whatever it is to help you to get aroused, to help you to prepare yourself, to be in the crowd of people that are focused. You need to be very, very focused. The high-level people, whether it's in business, sports, religion, spirituality, whatever it is, they're extremely focused people. High determination, right? Fighting spirit, preparing yourself, all these things, right? So if you're failing the heavy lifts, right, a lot of the time it's not even a strength issue. A lot of the time, right, it's a failure in technique, failure in mental, emotional preparation, psychological preparation. That's a lot of the time, right? And with the big weights, they demand those two things: good emotional preparation, psychological preparation, and decent, not 100% technique, but decent technique. If your hips are too high and you're going to pull 90%, it's not going to happen a lot of the time. You start losing your lower back, you start to hamstring a lot of, you're not going to make it, right? Your hips are too low again, right? So this is the thing, right? We want that balance between the physical, the mind, body, and spirit, you see? So everything connecting to follow, focus on one point. At this moment, at this point in my life, I'm going to have to make this weight. How am I going to do it? When I approach my warm-ups, I get a little bit insane. Most people who don't know me, they think I'm crazy. But I need to do certain things to prepare myself to get this lift. I know, I turn it on. I turn my mind on. Every warm-up set, I'm going high. I'm climbing the pyramid psychologically. Sometimes I'm physically so weak, but I get my mental, my emotional into my A state. That's what makes the lift. Many people don't know that. Right? So remember these things, right? Higher intensity lifting, higher weights, you need to prepare yourself. You need to be ready for those things. They're not going to come up because the weights are your friends or because they know you or because they care for you. No. Weights tell you who you are. So learn from that.